for Tuesday, April the 19th. The first item on our agenda is to adopt the agenda for the meeting. I do have a few changes to the agenda. I will ask you to remove number 14 and number 17 from your agenda. And actually, one more item to remove. On your consent agenda under B, Human Resources, if you will remove number 2. And then I have one addition to the consent agenda under section D, number 7, permission for one employee to attend the Association of Floodplain Managers of Mississippi Annual Conference, May 2nd through the 4th in Biloxi, at an estimated cost of $731.71. Those are all the changes I have. Ashley, do you have any others?
That was all I had, yes.
Any other department head have a change? All right, hearing none, could I have a motion to adopt the agenda for the meeting?
So moved.
Motion made.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, a quick mayor's report for you tonight. Last night at 5:30, we were excited to unveil the new mural that faces the parking garage, the new mural of Princess Hoka. So anyone who has not seen it should drive by as soon as you get the opportunity. It is unbelievable, and a huge thank you to Helen Overstreet, who has gifted that mural to our community. You may have noticed on your way in the demolition next door to City Hall. It is a disaster. It's about to shake us out of our chairs most every day. But the demolition should be done in another week or so, and then we'll get to start the fun part. We hope to open bids mid-May, and the plan is for that park to be finished by the end of September. So fingers crossed that weather cooperates, and we will have a beautiful green space for everyone to enjoy on the square this fall. I am proud to announce that we received $1 million from the state to go towards our renovation of our Oxford Enterprise, converting it into our Oxford Police Department. And I'm even more excited to announce that we received $5 million in a transportation bill from our federal delegates. So you will see us moving forward with some projects that we are very excited about, and very thankful to our state and federal legislators for supporting our efforts and putting their money where their mouth is, which is the most important part. You may have heard that our RSVP program is being revamped. That's our Retired Senior Volunteer Program. They will be hosting a community volunteer appreciation event on Thursday, April the 28th from 1 to 3 at the Old Armory Pavilion. And they will be introducing our new City of Oxford program, Stronger Together Oxford, a community volunteer hub. So we hope that any of you that are available will come and join us on the 28th from 1 to 3 at the Old Armory Pavilion. Now, the most important thing on our agenda tonight are the young ladies on the back row on the left side of the courtroom. You all have heard me talk more times than you probably wanted to about my girl empowerment class. And these sweet girls, 18 of them, graduated last Thursday afternoon, and I am so sad I will not know what to do with myself Thursday at 3:30 beginning this week. But I would like to ask them to come up front so that you can see who your next mayor and board of aldermen will be. So girls, if y'all will come up, tonight we have with us Mary Mack Ferris and Maren Feltenstein and Johanna Bishop and Chloe Pettis and Charlotte Nocentino and Sarah Al-Jahami, and we have Solange Villatoro with us. And so these girls have completed a 3-month class where we have learned a lot. We've learned a whole lot. Is there anybody in this group that would like to tell the audience one thing that you learned this semester? I'm totally putting them on the spot. I did not tell them I was doing this. Anybody? Okay, great. Johanna, go ahead.
Probably say that I've learned how to maybe communicate more with people and that kind of like a connection with people.
Well, I am so proud of these young ladies. Every week, they have come through the door and they have had to shake my hand and introduce themselves every week. The first week, that was hard for some of them, but by the end, we were just hugging. We weren't really shaking hands and introducing anymore. They have learned a lot about confidence in themselves, about how to resolve conflict, which we all know a lot of that exists with fifth grade girls, and even more so as they move into junior high. And they know that this class really is not about talking them into running for class president at any point in time. This class is to help them have the confidence to see somebody that's being bullied and to go up and intervene and say, hey, that's not cool, or to see people that need someone to sit with in the lunchroom, or to see the new kid that shows up at school and have the confidence to be a good friend. And they've also learned that the most important leadership skill is kindness. And I'm telling you that these girls right here and the others that weren't able to come tonight are brilliant and beautiful on the inside and out, and I could not be more proud of them. So let's recognize them tonight. Thank you, sweet girls, for being here. All right, next on our agenda is to authorize the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on April the 5th.
So we approve.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ask you to authorize the approval of accounts for all city departments.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ask you to consider the consent agenda with the removal of B2 and the addition of D7.
Move to request consent agenda as amended. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, next on our agenda is the recognition of someone who has been a mentor to me and also a dear friend. And I am so excited tonight to get to recognize Dr. Tom Sharp for his service on the Downtown Parking Advisory Commission, but that's such a small part of all that he has done and meant to this community. So Tom, I'm gonna read this resolution and then ask you to come to the podium. Whereas Dr. Thomas Tom R. Sharp moved to Oxford, Mississippi in 1974 to pursue education and research as an assistant professor of healthcare administration at the University of Mississippi, where he instilled himself as a longstanding and exemplary Oxonian. And whereas Dr. Tom Sharp's love for learning, education, research, and business development has been demonstrated throughout his professional career in numerous accomplishments, including the establishment of the National Center for the Development of Natural Products, the Mississippi University Research Authority Act, the North Mississippi Enterprise Initiative, and the Mississippi Research Consortium. And whereas Dr. Tom Sharp, through his professional career, created opportunities for himself by holding prominent positions nationally and at the University of Missouri and the University of Iowa after his retirement from the University of Mississippi, only to return to his home, Oxford, to continue his service to his community. Whereas Dr. Tom Sharp in his personal life has been a leader, a mentor, and friend to fellow Oxonians, fellow board members, and his family. And whereas Dr. Tom Sharp has modeled outstanding civic duty through his servant mentality by serving in numerous volunteer, appointed, and elected positions, including Habitat for Humanity, where he was able to create homes for families in and around Oxford, the Oxford Tourism Council, where he was instrumental in establishing Oxford's 2% hotel-motel tax, the Lafayette Oxford Economic Development Foundation, where he was able to improve the vitality and grow Oxford's economy, the Board of Aldermen as Alderman at Large, where his 6-year tenure created a better Oxford for all of its citizens. And whereas Dr. Tom Sharp's most recent servant opportunity for Oxford and her citizens has come through the Downtown Parking Advisory Commission, where he served dutifully for 10 years, eventually as chairman, only felt like 100, right? Eventually as chairman, successfully managing and expanding Oxford's downtown parking opportunities through the construction of a 400-space parking garage in the historic downtown. And whereas Dr. Tom Sharp has made an indelible mark on the city of Oxford through his humbleness, his devotion, and his desire to improve Oxford and Mississippi for all its citizens and visitors, and has positively touched many lives, and that his legacy will be remembered and celebrated for many years to come. Therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Oxford express their sincere appreciation and gratitude to Dr. Thomas R. Sharp for his work on behalf of the community of Oxford, Mississippi. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the City of Oxford, and that a copy of the same be presented to Dr. Thomas R. Sharp. Tom, if you'll come forward. And we have a framed copy for you that was to be delivered by 5:10. It has not walked in the door. I'm sorry to say, but it will be put into your hands when we get it.
I get to have one last say.
Oh, I feel like you'll get more than one last say.
I'll save my thank you for the very end. And usually I talk from notes, but when I do that, I tend to take too much time, and so I'm going to read my comments. In 2011, we had a parking system that was simple, antiquated, ineffective, and broken. This was the year in which the Downtown Parking Advisory Commission was created in November of that year. It revolved around a woman with a piece of chalk on a stick. We now have a parking system that is robust, sophisticated, necessarily more complex, and for the most part, it works pretty well. This has been the result of many people working both hard and smart to address the needs related to parking, and therefore the vibrancy of Oxford's downtown square. While it's dangerous to point out only a few who were especially important and influential in this process, I'm going to take that plunge. And I'm going to focus on those who were in the trenches. We were fortunate to have the support of the University of Mississippi, most especially Mike Harris, former Director of Parking and Transportation. I hate to think where we would be without having had his expertise and practical wisdom during the planning for the parking garage and the downtown parking system. He left for LSU, go to hell LSU.
Amen.
And we lost a good man, and LSU gained one. Amanda Heineman served as the vice chair for nearly 8 years and was a voice for the businesses on the square and for reason and sanity on the commission. Matt Davis was the linchpin of these efforts. I had my doubts about him at first. He started with absolutely no experience in parking management. He learned quickly and now is a mentor to others in the industry. I spent more time with Mark Levy than I care to think about.
Although he loved every minute of it, Mark.
Most minutes. He shepherded contract processes, design plans, legislation proposals, and much more, and was invaluable in every aspect of our work. Finally, excuse me. More important than all the others combined is the woman I love, my wife, Carol. Without her love, support, and especially her patience, I'm empty and have nothing to give. During my tenure on the Parking Commission, we were a team. And the Parking Commission, city staff, and the Mayor and Board of Aldermen together were a larger team. Together, we made huge progress for the benefit of the city of Oxford and its downtown square. I have 4 recommendations looking to the future. First, and I don't have to do any of this.
And Carol's heard these before.
First, in the words of Spike Lee, do the right thing. The work of the Parking Commission has been rife with controversy. To implement paid parking was hugely controversial. Where to place parking meters in the outlying downtown was sometimes controversial. Each potential site for the garage was controversial. The design of the garage was controversial. Whether or how much to charge for garage parking was highly controversial. Choices concerning monthly parking passes were often controversial. Each time, the Parking Commission listened, evaluated, and incorporated ideas that made practical, not necessarily political, sense, and recommended what we believed is in the best interest of the city of Oxford. Each time, I believe, we have been proven right in the end. Second is balance the budget. As of November 2021, the parking operations were operating at a deficit, and this was intentional. Initially, the plan was to revisit revenues and expenses after a few months' experience with the new system incorporating the parking garage. COVID kind of got in the way of all that, but COVID is, at least for a while, on the wane. And it'll be important for the Parking Commission and the Mayor and Board of Aldermen to set the operations on a permanent, solid financial footing, including, and I stress, including an escrow-type fund for the expensive planned periodic maintenance. Revenues are now up substantially. This might just be very easy to do. Third is to improve parking efficiency. By personal observation of yours truly, not by data, I believe we're close to being back to where we were in regards to crowded parking directly on the square. I've observed at different times of day cars circling the square looking for a place to park. This might be addressed in one or more of several ways. One is more aggressive enforcement. Another is increasing the hourly parking rate in the on-street parking areas that are affected. And third is to improve motorists' efficiency at finding a parking place. One way to improve that efficiency of on-street parking is to implement a commercially available real-time phone app that identifies vacant spaces by connecting parking space sensors to the phone app. There's more than one commercial application that does this. Such a system can be expensive, but it could be substantially or fully paid for without increasing hourly parking rates by zeroing out the time on the meter when a vehicle vacates the space. And parking professionals tell us that this can increase revenues by as much as 30% without increasing parking price rates. My fourth and last recommendation is to plan for the future. The time will come when we need a second parking garage, and I believe that day will arrive much sooner than we're prepared for. It will be essential to plan far in advance to fund the construction and operations of the second structure. We won't have the luxury of a parking space inventory that can be used to fund the construction and operation of the second garage. The inventory of parking spaces and its revenue are already committed to the first garage. Finally, and I don't have anything written about this, I want to thank you for the recognition that you've given me. My work on the Parking Commission and all the things that I've done for the city of Oxford have been a love for the city, a certain passion, and an ability to take things that I've learned, a lot being from when I was on the Board of Aldermen, and been able to apply those in different ways. And I just want to say, I love this city. I love this city.
And this city loves you back. and appreciate you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you, Tom. Could I have a motion to adopt the resolution for Dr. Tom Sharp?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. We will now have a third reading and vote on a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 14, Article 2, Section 14-48 of the Alcohol Ordinance. Kenny?
Okay, so third and final reading or talk. Do you want me to read the whole thing?
Nothing's changed since.
Nothing's changed since last time.
Second.
All right, all in
Easy.
favor? Any opposed? All right, easy does it in 30 days.
And it's not, yes.
It's not for double-decker. I think we've made this clear several times, but just to reiterate, this ordinance will not go into effect for 30 days. It will not be in effect for double-decker. It does not create a leisure and recreation district where you can have open containers. This is to allow for alcohol to be served in a designated, specified area for a city-sponsored event. Upon a vote approval by the mayor and board of aldermen each time. So that is what just passed, and it will go into effect in 30 days. Seth is here to discuss pool membership pricing for summer 2022.
Yes, ma'am. Last week at our OPC board meeting, we went through a host of price increases and stuff across the programs that does that, but this is the one that involves the city because the city gets the money from people who enter the pool and do pool memberships. And so we had previously, pool memberships cost $50 for an individual, $150 for a family. We did not do pool memberships last year because we simply did not know if we would be in a situation where we had to shut the pool down from COVID. We'd like to bring them back this year. We had recommended going to $75 for a person or $225 for a family. So that's going up $25.
What do people pay if they come in? $3 a day if they
We're
just.
open 75 days.
Okay. And so these would be in effect this year. I do know that, that we're having to pay lifeguards more this year and supplies and things are costing more. So our costs have increased as well. So, any comments from the board? I assume the Park Commission board has already passed.
They did. They passed that, but like I said, this money is handled by y'all.
Yes, and we
just bring it
appreciate
back,
that.
so.
Move we approve.
All in favor?
How many members?
Any opposed? Thank you, Seth. All right, Ben, first reading of a proposed ordinance for case 2856 to amend Articles 2, 3, and 5 of the Land Development Code.
Thank you. We do have a few clarifications to the maximum densities for the traditional suburban and traditional neighborhood residential districts. Also a reference change to retaining wall standards and a clarification for the standards in townhouses. And then I think the most substantive change in these modifications are to incorporate small craft brewery use. This is after recent legislation changes at the state. Previously, we would have considered a brew pub a restaurant that serves alcohol, but then they incorporated a microbrewery, which you can't classify as a brew pub, or I'm sorry, as a restaurant that serves alcohol because it does require distribution of product. So we just decided to create the classification for a small craft brewery that incorporates the definitions, and those uses would be special exceptions in the traditional neighborhood business and historic urban center districts, and then allowed by special use in suburban center, suburban corridor, urban center, industrial, PUD, and TND districts. A larger manufacturing brewery would be relegated to the industrial district. Only other change that we have made is to allow a screen wall for mechanical equipment by special exception, as opposed to just requiring everybody to have a parapet wall.
All right, so this is just our first reading. At our next meeting, we will have a second reading and public hearing on this ordinance change. So thank you, Ben, for the presentation. Does anybody have a question for Ben tonight? All right, if not, we'll discuss it next in 2 weeks. Request permission to approve a parade assembly permit for Danielle Murray for a sexual assault awareness walk on Thursday, April 28th, from 7 until 8:30. Chief?
Yes, ma'am. This will, the time will most likely be decreased, but what they're looking at is the inner circle around the county courthouse. We would hold that for about a 5-minute walk, and then that would be it.
All right. All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Motion made.
Any opposed?
Second.
All right. Request permission to apply for the Bulletproof Vest Program grant.
This is one we apply for annually. This is a no-match grant. It pays half for our vest.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Rick?
Yes, I have found that I'm on like a 5-second delay.
I know, I was waiting on you to vote. All right, any opposed? All right, the motion passes. Request permission for the mayor to sign the SRO agreement with the Oxford School District for the 2022-2023 school year. Chief?
This is our annual contract that we renew each year, with one exception this year is that the school will purchase an additional officer due to some of the facilities that they've purchased needing more staffing.
Yep, they're going to expand into another school. They'll have one extra school next year, so.
Move we
There were a
approve.
couple of tiny little changes, Chief, that I just sent you, that we missed a date, and then when it got transposed, there's some statutes that's miscited. So include changes of council.
Okay,
I move we approve with changes of council.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, number 14 was removed. We'll go to number 15. First reading of a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, the Mayor and Board of Aldermen, Division 1, generally, Section 2-24, Officers and Employees, appointment, and adding Section 2-30 to abolish the Municipal Election Commission and to establish an agreement with the Lafayette County Circuit Clerk's Office to have the county election commissioners conduct municipal elections. Ashley?
Yes, thank you. I know that's a mouthful. As it states, we had talked about during the last election, some of you at Alderman had expressed an interest in us partnering with the county to do really all of our municipal elections. We struggled with finding people to serve on the election commission. We struggled keeping them trained. There's only like 1 or 2 times during the year. The county trains year round, so it would be a benefit to us for them to do all of our election stuff. My office will still assist in any needed capacity, but this ordinance follows right along with the new state law that was adopted and lays out what the county would be responsible for. The first section of this ordinance does take out 3 words. In one of our ordinances, it says that we will elect 3 election commissioners. We took that out. The rest of the ordinance lays almost word for word with what's in the statute. Like I said, this is the first reading. If y'all have any other questions.
If there are any questions from the board? None. We will have in 2 weeks the second reading and public hearing on this ordinance change.
Mayor, only
Yes.
question I had is what's the cost difference? What are we paying the county compared to what we could have run it for?
The circuit clerk, Jeff Busby, and I have talked. He said it will be reasonable. It will probably not be much
You've
more.
been a sporting goods. No.
He's been very reasonable with only charging us what his cost is in the past. He has done some things for us.
Good, okay.
So has been very reasonable, and he promises that it will continue to be reasonable.
If it's not, we know where to find him. All right, request permission to refund penalties and interest on 7 parcels due to a mapping assessment error. Ashley?
Yes. When I came to y'all in January with the error that the county made, and I presented you with the figures that were contained therein, they all contain penalties and interest. I wasn't happy with having to do that. I didn't like it. I didn't like telling those people that's what I thought they had to do. After multiple conversations with Sylvia, with our auditors, and finding the Attorney General's opinion that I attached, there is some leeway when there's an assessment error. So I would respectfully like to amend those back to just the taxes, which will hopefully encourage those people to pay what they owe. We have had some of the 3 smaller properties have paid in full. We'll refund their penalties that they paid, and we'll change the 2 larger ones, which hopefully will encourage them to be forthcoming with their other payment.
Move we approve.
Pope, do you have any input here before we vote?
Only that we talked, and I think I read the AG's opinions as she does, that they allow this, although they don't give us any cover or any So I said, check with the auditors, make sure they agree that we're reading.
They did
that.
concur.
And she did, and they do agree, so no, I'm fine.
Okay, all right, so we had a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Pope. Consider change order number 9 for the Highway 314 sewer project for a deduction, my favorite word, of $12,000.
Yes, this is for final quantities for this project, and I hope surely that the next time I stand before you about 314, it will be to accept it all, and I won't be back with this project.
Move we approve.
Motion made to approve.
All right, that's a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Consider the acceptance of water, sewer, and street infrastructure in the Lamar Phase 4A.
Yes, this is for a smaller portion of what the board approved for final plat at the last meeting. Since that time, they've determined that they would like to final plat record a smaller portion just because of the bonding and having everything complete. And so we've completed a final inspection yesterday. There are a couple of very small items on the punch list, so we would recommend approval of acceptance of the water, sewer, and street infrastructure of Phase 4A contingent on receipt of the appropriate bonds, completion of the punch list, and receipt of the as-built drawings. So.
All right, any questions from the board?
Move we approve.
Motion made to approve with Brianna's suggestions.
All right.
Second.
Second. All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? All right, discuss and consider the transfer of Pumpkin Water Association. And I have one update since we last talked, sorry, right before I walked into the meeting.
About 60 days ago, you approved the transfer and dissolution agreement for Pumpkin Water with a 60-day due diligence period and 10 additional days for the board to make a decision. During that time, we were supposed to perform engineering analysis, put together cost estimates, and determine what a rate structure would be, which would allow the city to take Pumpkin Water and the Pumpkin customers to pay for those improvements. Well, we've gotten through most of that. The issue we've gotten down to is determining a rate structure that we can get approved by the Public Service Commission. I've had multiple conversations with utility staff, with their council, with the commission and their council, and then have another meeting this week, Thursday, to keep that discussion going. The problem is our due diligence period and the 10 days that for you to make the decision expires tomorrow. So we're working with Pumpkin. We've come to an agreement for a 30-day extension if you so desire, and allow us to move forward to try to determine a rate that we can get the Public Service Commission to approve. The overall cost that we're at right now is just over $2.9 million. The majority of that is the construction work. Some would be a payment to Pumpkin to retire their whatever outstanding debt that they would still have. And when we amortize that and apply it to the customers, we end up with a rate that we're just working through the Public Service Commission to determine something that's appropriate.
We do it through 20 years.
I talked to Brandon Presley today twice, once when Bart was in the room and a second time, and he got their general counsel, Ron, I can't think of Ron's last name right now.
Oh, Ron Brewer.
I don't know, Ron. And I told him that we were gonna give him Pumpkin Water and put it in his name if he didn't figure out how in the world for us to work this rate schedule out. So that it would be an LLC named Ron, whatever his last name was, and that he needed to figure it out. Brandon said if the board would give him 30 more days, that he assured us that he would work this out within this 30-day period. And his general counsel assured me of the same. So I think that we are in a good place. We just need a 30-day extension to work through the details, and I think we'll have a satisfactory resolution.
Move we approve the extension? And approve the resolution extending the due diligence period. Correct.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. All right, I would ask this board to consider an executive session.
Move we consider executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? The board will now consider an executive session. Glenn Ingram.